Good morning, everybody. So today's actually going to be a fun session. It's our tips and tricks that basically involves me running around through Draftworx, showing you all the cool little bits and things that we've put in to try and save time and make the program more efficient. So that's going to be pretty much half of the session, maybe a little bit more. And then we're going to jump into the new features that we've been working on. Probably the biggest one is the new print preview, then the new electronic review, and something cool for those of you that run multiple screens. So the dual monitor guys, that's quite a nice little feature. So looking forward to showing all of that. Now this is quite a casual session, so I do have the Q&A open up on my screen on the left-hand side. So please, if you have a question, just shout. I'll try and keep track of it. Otherwise, Shane and Clarissa can just make me aware. And then we can go through and we can show you how to do X, Y, or Z. Okay. So, without further ado, let's begin. What are the cool things that we have on the actual client list? We're going to start with access. Under the access tab, there is something called enable read only and disable read only, lock client and unlock client. What are those used for? Now, you may know that we do lock clients when you transfer from local to server. Okay, that's something that happens automatically. You can also lock down a client file with a personal password. So if you do have something sensitive, and you want to put it onto the company server, or you want to protect something extra special on your local drive, you can lock down a client with a custom password. Okay, so it's a password you specify. The general passwords aren't going to open or allow access. Nobody can go in through the back end because the actual financials are encrypted. So it's extremely secure. So remember, you can lock with a custom password. Okay. Please remember that password. Otherwise, you can't get your file back. Okay. It's as easy as that. Be very careful, but it's quite useful. We've seen it in use quite a bit. And then what is this enable read only, disable read only? Often, and I remember when I was in articles, it would happen quite often, is that a file would be finished, a file would be signed off, somebody would go in and do a change post that file being finalized, whether by mistake or they were just trying to fix something they saw. So if it ever came back to them, the file would look to be complete. It happens quite a lot. So enable read only is a lovely little setting that you can set on a file, whether it's compilation, review, or audit, when that file is complete, that nobody can go in and do changes. So financials have been signed off, set it as enable read only, no changes can be made thereafter. Okay, so it's quite a little cool thing. You can then jump into the file, do your year-end close. It will unlock and remove the read only in the next year, but that 2019 file that you created will stay as read only. Very cool. Okay. We have a new archive clients coming. That's currently actually in work in progress at the moment. I asked the dev to send me his latest test file so we can actually have a look at that. Hopefully, if you can send it to me for the second part of the session. Archive clients has been made much simpler. What is archive clients, for everybody asking? It's mostly focused on audit, where you have to lock down your file. And currently you had to set up a special server folder with some special settings on it. We've removed that requirement. So that's going to make archive clients use much easier and extended the functionality. It's also a nice option instead of enabling read only, and a nice way you can clear out all your old client files that are sitting in your client list. So if you are running, say, 2,000, 3,000 files on your server and your server is getting a bit slow, archive your old clients. Okay. We did release an update in the beginning of the year where we sped up the server access and the local client access by storing all your client files in a database listing. We then had Kaspersky and Avast release a few updates a few days later that changed the way they did scanning, and that caused quite a bit of havoc. So we are just applying to be whitelisted again by them because they kind of dropped our whitelisting for some reasons. So if you are getting any funny errors regarding clients.dxdb cannot open, please just jump onto remote support. The guys will add in an exclusion in for you, or they will address the issue. That kind of came as a surprise to us. So naughty antivirus companies, but we can chat antiviruses and some reasons to not use them, especially because Windows has one baked in. But we'll have a look at the stats a little bit later. Okay. Everything's pretty standard on the actual client list. There's nothing that I think is very important. We manage your clients for you unless you want to manage themselves with the create server client, where you can go and you can specify where you want to create and then access a standalone client if you want. So this is where you have individual folders for every single client on your server. You don't wish to utilize the Draftworx management side. You can then go and specify where you want to create your client file and where to go and fetch that client file. So you don't have to use the Draftworx listing and the storage. You can go and specify in which areas you would like to store your own files. Okay, and that's with create server client and server client. Just before we go on very quickly, WebSync. WebSync, I think everybody should know about. If you don't know about it, please drop us a message in Q&A and I'll spend some time explaining it a little bit later. With the recent fiber breaks, and we've seen quite a few guys' internet reduced drastically in terms of bandwidth. What we've also noted is a lot of people are using ADSL still, and they have an office where there's 10 or 20 or 30 people working in that office, and they're utilizing one ADSL line at 40 megabits. Okay. WebSync is probably not the best solution for you then. Okay. ADSL is isn't the most lag free. The latency is very bad, and the available amount of bandwidth for you to access, especially if you're sharing in an office, isn't what we designed WebSync for. Okay, so WebSync, please, you do need something decent, preferably fiber. And if you are sharing across in a major office, please make sure there's enough bandwidth available. A lot of guys go and stream Spotify, YouTube, and everything. And if you are on an ADSL line, that's going to literally crunch that line, and there's not going to be bandwidth for WebSync. Because we're doing everything on the server, everything communicates. You need to have a relatively decent pipe to use WebSync the way it was intended. Okay, I saw yesterday, I went on to a client to help them, and they had about 2 megabits up and less than 2 megabit down and less than 1 megabit up available. And they were wondering why their WebSync actually wasn't working. So, well, it was working, it just wasn't rolling forward. So very important. Okay, let's jump into a client, IFRS SME. Okay. Just to quickly go over a few nice little options that are in the drop-down. Very important. I have gone over it a few times before, but we do auto-save your documents. Okay, we do auto-save your documents. There is an auto-save documents here where you can access, and it'll show you all the documents we've auto-saved for you in the past. especially with the power issues that are currently occurring in South Africa, at least not this week, and not so much last week. So it's looking positive. Sometimes your computer does go down. Okay. So what we've been doing for years actually is every 20 minutes, when you have a file open, whether it's your financial statements or working paper, we autosave every 20 minutes. Okay. So in that dire situation where you are busy working on a set of financial statements and your computer crashes or power goes down and you don't have a UPS, Draftworx will, at least in worst case scenario, have backed up within the last 20 minutes. Okay. So you may lose 1 minute or worst case scenario, 20 minutes of work, but it is available under your autosave and you'll be able to select your file and you can see when it's autosaved or when you last saved and you'll be able to restore that file. Okay. So don't fret, it's there. If you've done something unusually funny in your financials and you open up and you look at it and go, ooh, I didn't want to do that change, but you did save it, go and check the autosaved file. You may just be able to jump back to the version you did before you did something unusual if you had the password to access your financial statements. So autosave is very cool. It's life-saving. And please don't forget it's there. We have a lot of guys that come up onto remote support and they open up financials and they've realized they've saved something that they didn't want to. And that's within the last minute or two. We just go and we show them how to revert back from the autosave. Think of it like a milestone. But we've had a lot of guys that open the financial statements and they look at it for an hour, wondering how they can fix it. And then they come onto remote support. In that hour time, we've overwritten that autosave with a new autosave. Okay. So very important. If in doubt, jump onto remote support and ask us immediately. Okay. And the wonderful consultants at Draftworx will be able to assist you in recovering your file. Okay. But autosave, drop down, it's there, saves lives. Okay. Bulk print is another cool little feature. If you are working still in paper and you do print everything out for your file, bulk print makes things much quicker and much easier. You can bulk print a set of leads, etc., etc. Okay. So that's a lovely little thing. Nothing very interesting on client setup. Probably the nice little tip is if you are compiling for another auditor, so you're compiling a set of financial statements, you can simply go to Auditor's Detail tab under Client Setup and you can overwrite your global value. So the global value is under your settings menu here. This is what you set up to say this is your firm each time you install Draftworx. But if you need to change this, the firm details, only for this file and this file alone, you can go and you can change it underneath Auditor's Details and it will only change it for this specific client file that we're on. So it won't affect anything else. Nice, cool little feature. There is also something that's used quite a lot under client setup. If you are doing management statements and financial statements for your client, you can actually do them both within the same file. Okay. So what you'd do is you'd create an entity, for example, IFRS SME plus financials, jump into client setup, click import management accounts, and you're now sitting with your monthly man pack as well. So you can proceed to import your monthlies. Okay, so you're doing your monthly man pack each month. But when you imported those monthlies, you set up a TB, you did the linking. It's basically the same thing that we're going to be using for financials. And hopefully your trial balance and your link numbers aren't massively different between your financials and your monthly man pack with what you're trying to achieve. I know a lot of companies that are very different. If you are doing a smaller entity where it's simpler, you probably won't ever encounter that. The TB is going to be the same links for the the AFS and the same links for the management packs. Cool little item. It will save you a lot of time. Okay, jumping back. What you can do if you do forget about that. Let's have a look over here. And let's say that we have done a set of management accounts, and we want to create a copy of this so we can do the final financials or the monthlies. On the Draftworx client list, you can create a client copy. It's also very useful if you say doing a group of companies, and that group of companies runs the same trial balance for the companies in that group. Go set up one client file, import their TB, do the linking for that TB, jump out to the front, create client copy. Okay. Oh, excuse the typo. And then Draftworx will just create a copy for you. You'll then go into that file, change the necessary in client setup, and in your working trial balance, you'll just re-import your new TB. But if, and this is pretty much the best usage case scenario, if the trial balance is the same structure, meaning the same account numbers for Group A, Company A, and Group Company B, you won't have to redo your linking. It will just update the values in your TB. And we'll jump in, I'll show you that a little bit later. Okay. So a way to be very, very efficient, specifically if you're doing a lot of the same, just create a client. Don't start from scratch. It's just going to waste time. Okay. So let's go and jump into this.
Earl, hi.
Yes,
when we are inside the file like you are now, wouldn't you mind to please show Natasha how to add the management pack from client setup into a normal file, please?
There we go. I did show that.
I think she might have just missed it. And then Sage Fried asked if we can change the time to the autosave option. Unfortunately, we can't. It is set up. It just autosaves.
What were you thinking, Siegfried? Just let us know what you're thinking for the autosave. And then maybe that's something that we can look at to set an option. We can't increase it because that just will potentially create a problem where somebody goes and says autosave every 2 hours. But we can look at perhaps decreasing it. Just let us know in the Q&A, and then we'll add something called a Jira, which is basically what we use for tracking our development requests.
Okay, thank you.
Cool, thanks, Sue. Okay. Few nice little options on client setup. If you have the same directors as shareholders, click this little button, or the same shareholders to directors, click that little button, and it's going to save time instead of you typing everything out, duplicating it. Okay. I'm not going to go through the rest of those. Okay, let's jump on to working trial balance. Let's have a look here. Okay, so TB, import a spreadsheet. The only really decent advice I can give with this is you actually don't have to assign the credit. If you do have a trial balance that's running debit and credit in a singular column, you just have to assign the actual debit, and it will import it for you. You only really have to assign that credit when the credit is sitting in a different column. So that's going to save you a second or two. The other big advice, I did go through this I think in the beginner or advanced, but it's very important. If you didn't attend those sessions, then please listen up. If you are importing from Excel, okay, and you have a client that uses one of the accounting systems that doesn't have account numbers, or the trend in your accounting systems don't, okay? It's not cool if you have account numbers now, apparently. So if you're sitting with that, what do you do with assign account number? what we've seen a lot of guys do is they go and they generate their own account numbers. Okay, 100, 101, 102, and it's fine for this year. The problem comes in for next year, where your client decides to add in a new account, okay, and that new account becomes furniture and fittings, and you don't have accounts in, so you go and you generate them again, and you pull it down. All of a sudden, all of your accounts are out by one. Okay. Hopefully you notice it if you do this, and hopefully the account isn't inserted right at the bottom, where now you just have maybe one account that's off by one, meaning it's not going to import the correct figure to the right place. A little bit dangerous. If you don't pick it up, there's going to be a fault on your financials. So the nicest way to do things, if you don't have account numbers, is to use your account name as the account number as well, because that's generally going to stay the same from year to year. You're not going to change revenue to sales, and if you do, it's going to pick up that it's a new account, and it will add in sales in the next year. So that's a nice little cheat to get away with this without having any errors come through. Okay. From the previous session, we did also receive a request to then remove the account numbers, that slot in the leads that has been added to the development list. So if you are running a lot of clients that don't have account numbers in your lead schedules, that account number will actually going to be taken out in the future, because it's just duplication. So that's a cool little thing that's coming. Okay. TV is in. Let's look at a few things to make your life easier with linking. So major one is if you have a big trial balance in, and let's say everything is telephone. Okay. You have those companies that they run cost centers. Instead of going and clicking telephone every single time, hold down Shift on your keyboard, select the range. So just like in Excel, you can select the entire range, and then just double click the right on your description, and we'll go and we'll do a bulk link. Okay. Same can be done if you hold down my control and there's a few individual accounts. Okay. Makes life very, very, very easy. Now, what I do when I help a few of the corporates out now and again with drafting financial statements, what I do is, if they're split up, I'll actually use the search feature. So I'll go and I will filter for everything that says telephone. Okay. Same as those clients that they have repairs and maintenance everywhere. Just go and filter out what you're looking for, and you can do a quick bulk link. Ooh, it makes those big TVs an absolute pleasure to link. Okay. So lovely little thing. Use the filters. It helps you a lot in so many different ways. I'll try and get into some examples now. But filter, bulk linking, ooh, makes life quick and easy. Siegfried, I see you want to know if we can increase the time of autosaving. No, unfortunately, you have to give me a good reason why you want to increase the time and not save every 20 minutes. If you can let us know. We're just afraid that a clerk will increase the time to 2 hours and then an hour and a half later close down the financials or switch off their PC and not save and then blame us.
He typed just under that, it means decrease to 10 minutes.
Decrease to 10 minutes. Okay, cool. We'll add that in. C, can you pop that in Jira, please?
Yes, I can. I'll do that now.
So this is how we do a lot of our dev, guys. If there's a good idea, if there's something that we don't do that you would like us to do, please let us know. Okay. We drive the development on Draftworx based on our users. A few cool things come from internal, where we go, oh, it would be nice if we did this. Because a lot of us work with Draftworx every single day. Actually, the vast majority of the entire company works on Draftworx every single day, either on support or in dev, or for our corporate consultants. So there's always something new and cool. And if you think about it, let us know, please. Then we'll build it in. Okay. Now, cool things on link numbers. This I'm not a fan of this, but I see a lot of people enjoy doing this. If you are new to Draftworx and you find the entire list a bit unusual, and you'd like to rather split by category, you can pull up your category here, and Draftworx will split the link numbers by category if you want to go and look through exactly what's available in current liabilities. The only thing is that there are generally a lot of links, especially in the plus financials, because we have to cater for every scenario. Okay, so that's quite a nice little thing. And please note that you can do it in the working trial balance as well. So it's quite useful for those of you running consolidations. You can drag up a column for the grouping to do a consolidation, and you can have all of the subs listed individually. Okay. Quick little talk about the link numbers. You will see in Financials Plus, we have a new class of links, one called C dot, one called N dot, but you still have your NAs, your NLs. What are the differences? My NAs will automatically go and will be forced to go to my assets, okay, my non-current assets. My NLs will force to go to my non-current liabilities. The N's and the C's, so N dot, they will go depending on the actual sign. Okay, so if it's an asset, they'll automatically go to assets. If it's a liability, they'll automatically go to liabilities. Okay. It also allows you to net off. Okay, so that's something very important. If you put it to the same link number, it will allow you to net off. Okay. Leads, everything's done for you, so I don't think there's a major there. Let me know if anybody wants to learn how to create a lead. We can go through that. Okay. Very cool feature that a lot of people aren't aware of. Resync prior year. What does that do? Multi-year compilation. So you have a client that's a bit out of date, and they come to you and they've got 5 years of financial statements for you to do. I think we all have had one of those, at least one. There were thousands when I was in articles. And you would go in and you do the 5-year compilation, and you go to your client, you present the financial statements, and they'd go, oh, you know what, I'm so sorry, I forgot about this transaction that occurred in the first year. Okay, and the partner will go, oh, no worries, just pop it in. And if you're a clerk attending this, you know that you generally get it. If you're a sole prop, then that's also going to be yours to get. In articles, I had such a request to go and change something in the first year, except back then I was drafting 13 years, and I was a junior at the time. What happened there is, and I was using another system, so we decided just to improve it in this one, is you have to go in your first year, you'll pass the adjusting journal to correct it. Okay. Then you have to go into your second year. In your second year, never mind just passing an RI journal in the current year, you have to go into the prior year and make sure your comparatives agree to the engagement the year before. And then you have to go into the next year, pass an RI journal, and then go into the prior and the second prior and update those figures as well to agree to your previous years. And you have to do this for every single year. That's just the way that the cash flow is going to be correct, because the cash flow, we need 2 prior years. The way retained income is going to be correct. If it has affected RI, each year you go forward, you have to correct RI. And at some point you may get confused. Okay. And especially if you're new to the industry, RI is a scary thing, and RI is retained income. It's a very scary thing, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But don't worry, it will click, and you'll go, oh, this was easy. And that I say to the juniors, because I think we've all been there at some point in time. Okay. So what Resync does, instead of this manual process of going into my TB and making sure all my comparatives are updated, the process you do in Draftworx is you would go and you'd start in your first year, you'd click Resync. You'd do the correction, you'll post your journal, do the correction, okay, and go, fantastic, first year is right. Go into my next year, click Resync. It will automatically go and find your prior year file, extract the final TB from that prior year file, and go and update your comparatives in this year's file. So if I did my change in 2010, I then go into my 2011 file, hit Resync. Draftworx will go and find my 2010 file, pull out the final trial balance from there, from my 2010, go into my 2010 file, look at my 2011 file, look at my 2010 comparative, and update the comparatives for me automatically. You then only have to pass the RI journal. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Otherwise, I'll actually give it a show. Not that you actually see much, you just see a comparative TB updating. So it's not the biggest or the best, but saves so much time. Hours, especially if you have somebody new working on the file. Resync saves hours. Okay. Now, one of the issues with Resync, I wouldn't say issue, one of the features that it didn't have is it doesn't do your RI journal for you automatically, and it doesn't bring it forward for you automatically. Okay, there's just too much risk involved in us doing that for you. Okay, so journal entries evolved I think quite a while ago for allowing me to going and copying journal entries from the previous period, or even moving journals from the previous period. Okay, so if we have a comparative year and I go back into my journal entries, I can go and I can raise journal to do XYZ. Okay, and let's go and cost 100. Okay, so I have this journal sitting in my 2019, and I only realized now that why was I in the 2019? I actually want to have passed this journal in 2020. Okay, cool little thing. With Draftworx, you can move your journals in between the years. So I can either move it to the following tax year, which is 2020, or to the prior. I don't have a prior. Or if I want to copy this to the following year. So if I have made that RI journal in 2019, Resync would have updated it for me and pulled it in here. I could just copy that RI journal forward and forward and forward. Okay, that one. Cool. And now you see that my journal is sitting in my current year. I chose to copy it, so it will still be in my comparative year. It's also very cool if you have been doing consolidations and you forgot to list your journals as standing journals. Instead of reprocessing from the beginning, you can just go and copy your prior year elimination entries into the current year and just process the change in the amounts. And that will have your elimination entries pretty much done for your current year. Eliminations are easy. It's just always the structure and the amount of journals you pass. The figures are generally the easier parts where you have to pass everything to. That's generally time consuming in the setup. Okay, and you can use this not just for consolidations, but for anything. If you forget to set a journal as a standing journal and each year you pass depreciation for your client, jump into the prior year, find the journal you want, copy, don't move, otherwise you're going to affect your prior year. Copy it to the following year, and that's going to save you a few minutes. Okay. You can also export journals out in Excel now, modify it on Excel in that workbook, and import those journals back. We had quite a few people asking us for monthly journals a while ago. If you haven't seen them, it is in. It actually has been in for quite a while. Where if you are doing the monthly management packs and you want to affect a specific month with a journal, just select the date range under your monthly journals to impact the correct month, and that journal will be passed for you. Okay. So on periods, we do offer a monthly TB. If you haven't seen, think of this as a horizontal general ledger. Very cool if you want to do monthly management accounts. You can do a lot of things. Okay, actuals versus budgets. A lot of things. What we also put in, which I actually quite use a lot, especially if I'm trying to figure out why something's out, is we put in this little difference column. Okay, I hit difference under periods, and here it pops up, and it will calculate the movement for me between my current year and my prior year automatically. Okay, so current year less prior year, it'll give me my difference, so I can see the actual movements. It's also nice for some of those notes where you actually need to see the movements or cash flow, etc., etc. Pop this down, hit difference, and yeah, I really enjoyed that little feature. Thanks, Alman, for adding that for me. That was a personal request. Just made my life a little bit easier. If you want to take this trial balance out into Excel, you can. We know you love Excel because we love Excel, and we're a company of all ex-accountants and auditors. So we know you would want to take this out, and the journals and other stuff. So you can, okay? And you can work with it in whatever way you want to work with it, external to Draftworx. Okay. So my TB is balancing, and that means I can jump into my financial statements. Okay, I'm working with IFRS SME Plus. For those of you that haven't seen the Plus financial statements, first sheet checklist includes a checklist of everything. The standard for IFRS SME, the IFRS standards if you're doing IFRS, for all of our non-South African clients, welcome. Sorry, it is an early morning setup, especially for those of you on the West Coast. It was a bit of a faux pas on my side. I do apologize. We will be shifting the webinars a bit forward in the future, so you don't have to wake up extremely early to view this, and welcome to all of our clients around the world. Okay. So let's have a look-see. Okay, retained income is going to be out. Why is retained income going to be out? Because we have our comparative, and now we didn't make a profit, or no, we made $100 profit in the prior year, and all of a sudden we stuck with a 50,000 retained income. So Draftworx is going and reporting that there's a bit of a problem here. Okay. Unfortunately, we can't help you with retained income because that's an accounting system thing. So we'll cover that in more detail if you want to. Let's go and let's jump into client setup. For those of you that are brand new, to LTD, jump back to your financials, everything updates. Okay, so Draftworx financials are built on the spreadsheet methodology. Okay, the idea about the spreadsheet, the way that the mechanics work. Why did we do that? Well, we actually tried a few other things in the beginning. A lot of competition in the market uses what we can say is actually an advanced word processor, because you type in it like a word processor and then it has cells in it. And that makes things a bit mushy. We did try and do that at one point way in the beginning. and it's really hard, but it makes it really easy for print preview. Okay. So when we were playing around with spreadsheets, I'm talking years back, before we even started the actual formal company, we pulled in Excel and we did a bit of dev work around Excel being included in, and we found Excel was horrendously slow. It would take 5 minutes to open up a set of financial statements. That wasn't a go for us, so we started from scratch, and we put this together. Okay. We then carried it further. It's now supports 395 of the Excel formulas, and it's extremely Excelish, but it's not Excel. We've tried to remove the annoyances from a spreadsheet, but we've kept in the positives of a spreadsheet. The positives are that we all know how it works. Well, hopefully we all do. If you know how to do a sum, you're getting there. And it's very flexible. From a development point of view, it was extremely hard for us, not just because of the calculations. It was because we then wanted to split up the sheets to do the print preview. Okay. And sorry, a bit of trivia. For anyone that's ever interested in development and how long development takes, if anybody on the Q&A can tell me how long did it take to develop page numbers in the Draftworx print preview? If you can give me a time estimation here, the person that gets closest to it will organize a prize. Clarissa, just let me know what you think the prize will be. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what you think, and I'll disclose it at the end how long it took page numbers to be developed. I think it'll blow your mind. Okay, so enough talk. Let's get on to actually working with the financials. So the financials are based on the premise of spreadsheet. Okay, so the major tips is whenever you go into anything, whether it's financials or the working papers, think of it just as Excel. Okay, it's Excel 9 times out of 10. There are, of course, a few caveats, a few design things that we've had to implement because we do financials and working papers. Very simple. Everybody should know this. For those that don't, your control columns, a 0, we'll switch that, row off. Okay, a 1, Draftworx knows it needs to print, and then a null or a blank, we'll assume that it's going to print as well. Okay. So this is basically a matrix because we don't just do it on the column, we do it on the header as well. Okay. If you want to turn off a column, let me log in. You would be able to switch off a column as well. Okay, so it's a matrix. Just think of it like that. Okay. Now I have logged in. I've actually used manager login. Draftworx has 4 levels of login. The standard login is as you jump into Draftworx, then senior, manager, and partner. This will allow different sign-off levels, and it will allow you to edit the formulas. Okay, so a very scary thing, editing the formulas, because you can make an oopsie. Okay, so I've decided that I didn't want to spend time in balance retained income properly. I'm just going to force it to wherever. Okay. This is why you need to trust the people that you're giving, and that's for the partners. You need that you're giving the passwords to. Okay, somebody that won't do this. However, you can run a comparison under template tools, and this is going to compare the financials to the template, and it will tell you what's been changed. Okay, so that's a cool little button. If I now come in here and I see that that's been changed, instead of me trying to figure out the formula, I can just click this refresh rows from template. Okay, are you sure you wish to override the selected cells? Yes. And we will go and we will refetch the correct formula for that cell. Okay, Very cool. Works on individual cells. It works on entire ranges as well. Okay, so if you have mucked up the entire SOFP, or at least a range of it, you can fix it. Okay. A lot of guys do copy and paste in the notes, say from an external Excel source. They want to do directors' remuneration. The directors of the company have already put a table together with the look and feel that they like, that they want to be incorporated in, and you go and you copy and paste that in, and it doesn't come out quite so nicely. You can just refresh rows from template or click undo. If you're having a very bad day, okay, and you try something extremely unusual, don't worry, you can. It's always funny, I see. It's funny because we've actually seen this on remote support. Yeah.
Your cat walked over your keyboard there.
Oh, sorry, it was making a hell of a noise. Mechanical keyboards, best thing ever, guys. Get a mechanical keyboard, it will change your life. Okay, so we've gone and we've done a sterling job at editing the SOFP. As a manager, partner, I come in, I go, ooh, what has happened here? Let's recover it to default. Okay, clerks, you can also do this if you have, well, trainees, if you have the correct login details. You can quickly go import sheets from template. Would you like to create the index page? This is something you don't have to do anymore. We actually do it for you kind of in the background. There's other scenarios around that. You can click yes, you can click no. It's not going to matter unless you're importing your own sheets. We'll get to that a little bit later. Okay, and voila, everything's back to normal. So it is very hard to break something in Draftworx, even when you actually have the override passwords. And just to quickly show you what happens when you don't have the override passwords is no matter how much I try, we can't overwrite those passwords. Okay, you have to log in to be able to achieve that. And this is how we added in the expires in 2 minutes for remote support. When we jump in, we set this when we log in if we need to correct a figure, so we at least know when we log out, Draftworx is going to auto lock the formulas back rather. Okay.
Earl, while you're busy with the formulas, there's a few people that asked how do you create a custom link number, and I think we can show them, but it's important to just explain.
Yeah, the full disclosure about the.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Let's have a look at the time. Okay, I think what I'll do, I'm going to go back and I'm going to show the custom link number now. When we finished with that, we're probably going to have a 10-minute break, or 5-10-minute break, and then I'm going to show you how to do cross references in Draftworx and nice things such as putting together little formulas like this. Okay. So really, really, really nice. You can automate anything and everything within Draftworx with a basic formula. Okay, so let's jump quickly back. Custom link numbers. Only if you know what you're doing, please. Okay. And I say that in a bad way because we see a lot of bad things come out of creating custom link numbers. You can do it. We did a big custom link set for African Bank for their financial statements that they issued end of last year, where we customized everything for them. Okay, and we basically whole bank's financials is automated on Draftworx now, from fetching and allocating and doing all the lovely disclosures. That is what you can do with creating your own custom link numbers. Okay, you can drive a bank from within Draftworx. But if you do it incorrectly, or if you miss something, your financial statements aren't going to be lekker. And by lekker, I mean they're not going to balance. You're going to be missing information. I would always go and I'd say, rather please try and use our existing links. We have a ton of them. If you can't find something, use the others. So we have other expenses, other creditors, other income. And if you run out of those, and say for instance you're looking for a link called courier, take postage, change the disclosure description to courier. It will then change it on your financial statements and it'll say courier. You could even, in fact, use cleaning and change it to courier expenses. Okay. Everything in your link numbers are basically a placeholder. Okay. A placeholder that knows it's going to go to expenses, a placeholder that knows if it's an I, it's going to go to income, or NA is going to go to non-current assets. That's the link codes. Okay, they're placeholders with the description that we are pushing out automatically onto your financials. So if you change these disclosure descriptions, it will automatically go out. Okay. If you are doing, say, some special disclosures, and we know it does exist, we call it a stats TB, all the statistics you want to take out, and you want that to populate on a set of financials as well, then you're going to have to create your own link number. Okay, you want a connection from your working trial balance to your financial statements without impacting anything that exists already. Perfect use for custom link number. Okay. So we click enable, disable link number, and I can proceed to pretty much type in whatever I want. So let's call this custom 001. Give it a, I'm just going to call this Earl, unknown type, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, category doesn't really matter. Okay. So I've created custom 001. The case scenario for this would then be to have something like a stats TBN that you've imported along with your actual financials. Okay. So we have an additional line. And this is where I can then go and link custom URL to this custom link number. Okay. Let's go and find it now. Okay. So custom is linked to custom 001. Please note that if you are setting up custom link, and if it is going to affect the financial statements, please do your lead classifications as well while you're setting them up. Go and actually allocate it to a lead, the correct lead, whether it needs to go through as debit and credit. There's a secondary, a third, or fourth lead it also needs to go through. A lot of guys have created their own custom links, but they've forgotten to assign the leads. The leads are just a scroll on the right, and that's going to automate your lead for you. Okay, very cool. So let's go and let's put in a figure. So if we are working in a stats TB environment, what you often see is you'll have an out of balance TB, because this is information that's not related to the TB. I'm just going to pretend for now that this is something that is related to the TB, so we don't have to go in creating another custom link number to balance the TB out. Let's go and have a look at what this 1,000 Rand did to my financials. Okay. It's done nothing, and that's lovely because it's not related to my financial statements yet. But the problem is I'm now missing 1,000 Rand, 1,000 units from my financials. Why is that? There we go, 999, 1 Rand rounding. Why is that? Well, in the working trial balance, I've specified this custom link number, okay? And I've told it custom.001. Even if I did e.999.9999, it's not going to know where to take it. So when we develop the templates, we develop all the link numbers to take into account all the disclosures under the standard of standards, all the XBRL disclosures. Okay, so that's where all the link numbers come from. And then we go and we develop the financials and the formulas to pull everything from and all the different combinations from those links. Okay. So we can't cater for this unusual or this different link number that I've added in. I need to go and tell Draftworx where that link number needs to go. Okay. So let's have a look. It was custom.001. Okay. TB link. Okay, 1,000. So this needs to go and needs to be allocated. Okay, and we'd go and we'd insert sheet rows, and this would be my, okay. So it's very cool to add in custom links. Preferably should be for a specific reason, being more stats related. And then remember, you'll have to balance your working trial balance because stats is not related to the working trial balance. And then you have to find the source. Okay. And if you go, this is actually quite easy. The only thing is it's not just in the SOFP. You have to go and adjust the cash flow and the notes. So more than likely we'll have to go and place it in 3 different places. And often we see guys getting some of the formulas incorrect with that. So if at all possible, just try and use the link numbers. It'll make your life much easier. If you need to use it for a specific reason and something's not working out, please contact us on remote support and we'll have a squiz for you. But it's awesome if you need to do stats related items. Okay, it's great for that. You can have your working trial balance and your stats TB living in the same place, going out into your financials. I love that. We're actually seeing so much of that from the corporates. We may introduce a stats TB as a separate window, so you can keep your working trial balance and your stats completely separate. I think we'll probably see that before end of the year. Okay, so you can create your own custom links separately from the working trial balance. I think that's going to be wonderful. I must actually follow up on that. Okay. When we come back from the break, I'm going to be going through formulas, how to create your own formulas, how to cross-reference between your financials. We're going to jump into Office tools quickly, Smart Docs, a few more things on template tools such as Details Update. Very cool one. You're doing a property company. You have 5 mortgage bonds in the working trial balance. And this is maybe what the custom link numbers are for. But you have more than 5 mortgage bonds with your client. I would like to increase it to 50. Okay. So if you are missing link numbers and you want more link numbers, the best place to go is Details Update. So we'll automatically go and insert new link numbers for you, and we'll automatically go and increase the range in your notes. Okay. So a simple click of this will increase my mortgage links from 5 to 50, and it will increase my note from 5 to 50. Okay. So that may be what the guys for the custom links are looking for. This is an AFS Plus financials special. Okay, so these are our new technology financials, and we including all cool stuff like this, like the refresh rows from template, some lekker things. Okay, banks, PP&E classes, interest rate swap liabilities, or just you can increase. These are kind of the most used those increases that we've seen out there in the wild. Okay, other loans and receivables 5 to 10. So some cool things there. Okay, but we'll touch more on that when we come back. And I think we'll be coming back at about 10:15. That leaves us with about 20 minutes for the financials, and then we're going to go on to the new features. and anything else that pops up in the Q&A. So please shout on the Q&A. Let me know what you want to see. If you want anything specific, we can target that. Cool. So we're going to spend 10, 15 minutes on the financials, going over the formulas. If you attended the beginner advanced, you may have seen some of this already. This webinar is more geared for the guys that already know Draftworx and you just want to learn kind of the new stuff, or the little tips and tricks that you may have forgotten. Okay. So think of the financials as a spreadsheet. Okay. So we can do pretty much anything that we could do in a spreadsheet. Okay. Let's open up additional note. Okay. In my additional note, I would like to reference to another note. Okay. And we can do that by simply going equals and pointing to the actual number. Okay. And that's 5. If I want to add in some text, it's very easy. We need to still have the equals, okay, the start of the formula, my sentence, and inverted, okay. So this is going to be my sentence. It's the same as doing this, just doing free form text, but because I put an equal and my sentence, Draftworx and even Excel knows that there's going to be more coming. This is something that they need to calculate. Okay. How do we now refer to my sentence and then the note 5? Okay. Well, we've put in our text. We now denote with the and that we're now going to be referencing something. And I put in the 5. Okay. It's my sentence 5, no space. We go and we put a space in after my sentence, and it's now my sentence 5. Okay. And of course, that would be referred to cash and cash equivalents, notes, num, okay, something like that. If we want to carry on the sentence afterwards, same as the text being closed, okay? We have our start and we have our closed. We need to do that with the formula. Start, close, and then we want to start text again, and then close, okay? Very basic, very easy, but you can just create that additional flow, that additional automation. So if you are needing to refer to something custom, then you don't have to go and manually type it in, because of course then you have the potential issue that something's going to change along the line. So all of a sudden I switch on prepayments. I want that to go and update to note 6. Okay. I hope everybody got that. That is pretty much one of the most advanced things that you can do. That's actually very usable, very cool. If you're not sure of any of the formulas that we use in Draftworx, just go do a Google SumIf, and it'll explain to you how we're going, looking through a named range, trying to match a field, and then matching it with another field to pull out the figures. So a lot of SumIfs. It's basically what drives Draftworx, because we can do quite a cool thing, a lot of cool things with SumIf. Okay, let's increase that there. What are the other cool things that we get? I saw a few questions about linking in the trial balance. So let's go and let's link in a number for additional note 2. Now you can type in a number. And this was an answer to another question. If you see that that isn't formatted nicely, go to Format, drop down Format Cells, select Draftworx. Okay. It's going to format it to align with the chosen formatting in your settings menu, where there's going to be a comma, or a space in 1000 grouping. Okay, very important, cool little feature there. And that will reformat your figures. So if you're battling with formatting, format cells, Draftworx, it will format. Okay. Now, I don't want to type this in manually. I want a nice way of automating the value that comes here. Under design, trial balance values, I can select what type of value I want from a TV, go and select it. Okay, for example, I'd like to bring in share capital, and it will bring in the 100 Rand from share capital. Okay. This is a reference directly to the count. If my TV changes, my note is going to update. And very importantly, it's not just on the financials, you can do this on your working papers. Okay. So let's jump into Office Tools. Let's look at creating your own working papers. So click on Spreadsheet. I can pull in an existing Excel spreadsheet. So it is compatible. You can open up an Excel sheet that your client has sent you, or I can create a brand new one, which is nice. Or a nice little shortcut. I want to create a working paper. I click create working paper on the right-hand side here. Give it the reference. Test. Create working paper. It's going to create it for me. It's going to put in title. It's going to put in the ability to sign off like your other working papers you see. And it's also gone and it's placed it automatically under your working papers. Okay. So this is a nice little quick jump to create a working paper. Then in this working paper, I can do some cool stuff. Okay. So that turnover recon. I want to go sales per TV. Don't type it in manually. Go to your actual sales. Link your sales. Minus in front, you've got your positive. If your TV changes, your working paper is going to change. Simple and very, 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 very easy. Okay, link numbers. Something similar, except they reference entire link numbers. So everything that's linked to I dot, sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. Everything that's linked to I.00.001, you can reference that. Or if you want to select a range, again with the shift, or individuals, again with control. Okay. Quick and easy. Let me know if there's any other questions on the actual financials or on formulas. I'll gladly explain. I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's relatively straightforward. Let me know if you want to know how to insert a new sheet in your financial statements too. That's also, let me just do it now. Insert sheet. Okay. Format, insert sheet, double click. Change it to the name you want. Go to content. You can change the flow where you want to move it to, and it will automatically update your index. Okay, so that's a cool thing. Now, something I just spotted. If you are working with a 2-year TV, which most of us do, and there's a change in classification in the current year, and by that, I mean, let me think of an example. Last year, you had a loan. That loan was a current liability. Okay, so we have this loan here, loan current liability. This year, it's moved to a non-current liability. What would you do? I see a lot of people going and creating new accounts and then journalizing this current liability balance into the now new trial balance account, which is linked as a non-current liability, which isn't wrong. You're more than welcome to do that. It just creates additional work. Bad habits from other systems. With Draftworx, you don't need to go through that entire rigmarole. And one of the things that I remember back in articles is you used to have to do this, and you'd send the TV back to the client, and they'd go, "What's this new account doing?" And they'd absolutely lose their shit. Okay. So, nice quick way to do this change in classification. Go and select the account that you need to change. okay, little double arrow buttons. Go and select the new link. Let's call this learn from owner, and then select current only. Okay, very important, current only. It's going to change the link in this year, but in my prior year, it's still a current liability. Okay. So very cool little thing. A lot of people forget about this. It makes life so much easier. Okay. And then something else that's quite nice while we're on the working trial balance is something called account drill down. On my working trial balance, I see there is an adjustment of 100 Rand. Okay. If you're passing a lot of journals, there's going to be a lot of adjustments, and you'd actually like a report on the movement or to be able to see what that movement is. In the corner here, just double click on the little black arrow, and that will open up your account drill down, which will go your opening balance, any transactions from cash book, and your adjustments. It'll reference the journal, so you can always jump back and have a look at the journal and see exactly what the movement was, or what that journal was for exactly. So account drill down, very cool. Something that is coming a little bit later, we've been playing around with it, is the ability to have a working paper linked to your journals. So you could have, say, a journal to raise the additions in your PP&E. That journal can be linked to your fixed asset register additions column for the total. So when you change values on your working paper, it's going to automatically update your journal. So that's something to look forward to in the near future. Basically just started dev on that. That's still going to be a while. We're going to have a look at stuff now that's impending. It's coming very soon. And why we wanted to basically include it in part of the webinar is that it's actually quite big changes. Okay, it's not going to change the form or function. It's going to be something new, and there's going to be a lot more that you can do. Okay, there are going to be 2 big changes coming fairly soon. It's the new print preview and the new electronic review. We are still debugging and going through and trying to make sure it's going to be 100% when we deploy. Specifically, the print preview, we've spent over a year and multiple millions in development on that. Just because there are so many variables to take into consideration. My set of financial statements look different to yours, looks different to that of a bank, looks different to that of our financials in the Middle East, which looks very different to financial statements from Trinidad and Tobago. Hello, Leon. I think I saw your name. Must be a very early morning for you in Trinidad. Still looking forward to come and visit. That is why it's been quite a bit of time. Let's start with the electronic review. This is still work in progress. We are busy with it currently. We are looking to include it very soon. There's just some testing that's happening. Okay. Colors may change, a little bit of the look and the feel may change. So what's the big difference? We've simplified it, okay, massively. So when you open up the electronic review in the future, let me just close it completely and we'll open it up from scratch. This is what it's going to look like. The colors are a little bit different. Partners, when you sign off, will be green. Prepared when orange. Blue when reviewed. Not applicable will now go gray in your menu structure. So a few color changes. But we auto open up all the notes for you. And we'll open up a section if there is a note that's still open. So you can actually have a quick scroll through and see what's still open. Okay. When I click on this, for those of you that have used Draftworx Cloud, you'll note it's very similar. This will allow me to mark it as addressed or closed. So No longer that annoying, funny little bar that you type in. Oh, I hated that. You can actually go in and follow and do comments. So the issue that I had with our old electronic view, and I think a lot of you did as well, is that you would raise a note, Clark would provide one comment back, but if that comment didn't make sense, you'd want to re-raise that issue with them and go, no, that doesn't make sense, do X, Y, and Z. So this is what this events box is now. It will allow you to chat and communicate with your manager, with your partner, with the trainee. And I think it's just going to make it much easier. Nick, who's the developer on this, even added a cool little filter. So you can go and you can see and filter out just the comments instead of the events. The events will track when somebody's actually done the work, who's added the comments, all of that. So this becomes a nice sort of working paper in essence. And when you're happy with it, the addressed and the closed, all of that, very similar to cloud. So we hope that you do enjoy this. If there's anything that you see that you don't like now, please drop us a comment. We are sending this out as a beta to several firms probably within the next few weeks, offering them to test it out and try it out and give us feedback. You're welcome to email me and ask for it as well. I think it's going to make life much, 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 much easier. Okay. So we hope you liked that. With that said, let's have a look at what's coming with print preview. Okay. That's that one. Okay. So print preview is a biggie. We've actually changed quite a number of things around it. Let's jump into some financials. Okay. So you'll notice the first time you look at the update, it's going to have preview financials, preview sheet, live preview, which we hopefully all know and love. If you aren't using live preview, if you've never clicked that button, it is magic if you're working through a set of financial statements and you want to review, or you just want to do a change and see exactly what the change does there and then. Okay. You can actually go and make a change and it will show you straight away. This is one of the improvements we've done with print preview. You'll notice it is exceptionally fast. We now print preview a 400-page set of financials in 7 seconds. Those are on decent machines. So, of course, the lower spec machines you have, please don't expect 400 pages in 7 seconds, but that's what we're generating on our fairly modest PCs at the office. Okay. Then XBRL, because there's going to be a bigger focus on XBRL. XBRL has actually now been moved to the front, preview XBRL, so just so you don't have to go and fumble in the menus to export it off to your print preview. The big change comes in when I hit this button called Preview Financials. Okay. You'll now note that there is a menu on the right. What we also look at is under print layout. Remember, you used to have all those settings. Much more simplified. It is purely for inserting page breaks. And for those that are doing management accounts, you can now insert column breaks as well. Okay. Or any big spreadsheets where you want to insert a column break, we now support column breaks too, which I'm very excited about. Okay. But what can we do in the new print preview? Well, we've gone and we've added in pretty much every single request that we've ever received and a lot of internal requests ourselves. One of the things we've done is we've simplified the preview to one window. Okay. That one window updates automatically when you tab back on it. So you won't have 30 different print preview windows going across each time you print preview. Okay. So if you're on the source, whether it's working paper or financials, when you print preview, you'll then go to that and it'll update in one print preview space. Okay. If you do a change, don't need to print preview anymore. Let's go and switch off review compilation. There we go. You can jump back to your preview, and Draftworx will automatically rerun the preview for you. Okay, just saving a bit of time and some clicks. All your controls for the look and the feel of your financials are now in one place, and there are a lot of them. Okay, so everybody's used to embed watermark. Change the text, change the angle, change the size, change the font, change the color. Okay. Really, whatever you want. So bigger, smaller, font, everything is available for watermark. Okay. Tax year headers. Tax year headers is something that we did have in the previous print preview called select headers. And that is basically for the tax headers. Sorry, I hit on the wrong item. For the tax headers here. Okay. And I'll explain these now. If you have tax headers that are on a note and you're as pedantic as I am, and I'll go, well, there actually isn't anything for that header on this page, it's just text, you can remove it with select tax year headers. You can disable these on select pages. Okay, for all your notes, if it's just text, you can just switch it off. It just makes my OCD happy. Okay, margins. Big one with margins. I'm just going to do this. Margins used to be preset by us. Okay, it was one of those things that you had to live with. These were our margins. If you wanted to adjust, you'd have to change the column widths, and it was a bit shit, so I do apologize for that. We've now introduced universal margins, where I can go select now a left margin or a right margin or a header margin for my entire financials. Okay. And we'll go through and we'll adjust everything accordingly. So you can see how that got a little bit bigger. Okay, even bigger. So margins are now available. We resize the content automatically to keep everything in. You can switch that off if you want for whatever reason. But margins, if you are binding, if you are doing something unusual, you can change the margins throughout Draftworx without messing with the column sizes. Very happy with that. Page borders, okay, colors, all of that stuff. I'm not a fan, but you can. If you're a fan, oh, actually, that actually looks quite nice. I didn't see that we added in the color. Oh, that looks quite a bit. That looks a bit zhuzh. Okay, so maybe I'm a bit of a fan. Clear cell backgrounds. That's a generic. All the blue blocks. We clear all of that. If you want to do color in your financial statements, where you go and you highlight and you put a lot of color blocks in and that, you can switch that off, and we'll let the color come through within Draftworx. You just have to go and recolor those blue input cells. But this allows you to have fully colored financials. We've seen a lot of our corporates do it, where they go and they change the colors of the headings and that. It looks very pretty. Go have a look at the African Bank financials that were issued. That's one that comes to mind. Beautiful set of financials, great team there that we worked with. Thank you, guys. And you can see kind of what you can do with the actual colors. Okay. Cover. Only thing really to do with cover is to put in the footer. If there's anything else you think of that we can add in the cover, please let us know. Letterheads. Very, very, very cool one. Okay. So we've now supplied you with the option to load up to 5 letterheads. Now, they don't all have to be letterheads. They can actually be your firm images. So if you want to watermark and insert your firm's letterhead or special footer or something pretty, a background that we watermark in, you can now do it with this letterhead function. So let's have a look at auditor's report. Okay, let me go back, open up something in the auditor's report. Audit, okay, option, basis. Okay, let's go back. Okay. So here we have our image. Now I haven't loaded any images in, and we're just going to use a little dogs. Doing it from home today, so we get some peace and quiet.
Just pausing the recording, you'll say that
thanks, Shane.
security officer.
Yeah, I didn't want to have noise from the office, but yeah.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Thanks
cool.
very much.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So we can load up multiple sets now in images, and at the bottom of the worksheets, you'll see the ability to now place these image sets anywhere. If it's the director's report, okay, save changes, what changes? I know everybody panics whenever that happens, so a little bit of fun for the day. So I can insert my letterhead on a particular page, or I can choose to apply it to all, okay? So you can apply this to all the sheets, which is nice if you want to do your little custom logos or watermarks. Great little thing. Even more, if we go across to reports, for those of you that are using an interesting letterhead where you've got images on the left or the right, previously it was a nightmare. You had to go into your financials and you had to do some manual manipulation. Sorry for that, but we have gone and we have extended the functionality of our engine drastically. Okay, so you can change the layout, the looks, the feel, the right margins, the left margins, and we will fit in your report. Okay, again, letterhead etiquette denotes that the letterhead only goes on the first page. The second page carries on as normal. Okay, and different footer contents and all of that. So very excited about that. On the notes, let me go and just put in some content for the notes. Okay, on the notes, let's just go and show all of that. Okay, we'll see we have our general standard. Okay, like this. You can see the indexing runs in sort of the margin. This is the way a lot of us like it. Some guys don't like it. So what we built for you is the ability to have a left margin for the notes. Okay, so you can now push in your note numbers underneath the headers. Okay, and you can change the indenting range and all of that. For the users of the Plus financials, we also took note of your frustration where you had, for example, a 4 and then a 4.1, but there wasn't a 4.2. So why even have a 4.1? So we have an option that's on now by default. If you have a note 4, then a 4.1, and no 4.2, the 4.1 gets removed automatically. If you then have a 4.1 and a 4.2, we'll keep the 4.1 and the 4.2 in, but it will remove that sub-note that's just sitting at 4.1. Highly, highly annoying. That is now fixed. Okay. Then multiple options for the format and the formatting, your different header continues. All of that is available. Header source, the way your page breaks work. And something that we added in as well, which we often had on remote support, was the ability to put in a custom footer, text footer. You wanted to type in your own message about the sheet, or about the section you're working on. Footers allows you to go and type in a custom footer for that section. Okay. So that's something that we're looking forward to releasing. I think it's going to save a lot of time, and it's going to make your financials even prettier. We're going through a full formatting exercise on Financials Plus now as well, just improving the formatting, the look and feel. Those will also be coming very, very, very soon. Something that we're also busy with, which hopefully should see around mid-year. We know that for things like the new print preview, it brings through a lot of new options, crazy amount of new options. And it's going to be hard, especially if you're in the firm environment, for everybody to be on the same settings. Okay, and you want things to be consistent. They're using the correct format for the heading. For the heading continues, do you go with in brackets, dot brackets, the number first? So hopefully around mid-year, maybe a little bit later, we will be releasing basically a management, an online management tool for Draftworx. So partners, you'll be able to sign up. The guys using Draftworx, you'll be able to log in. You'll get a username, password, you'll log in. It'll go and fetch all the settings from this management console. That'll just be accessible through your web browser. Partners, you'll be able to set all of your required fields. So how you want the spacing, how you want the formatting, any changes. When a user logs into Draftworx, it'll fetch those changes and it will apply it across the firm. Okay, so we're looking forward to having that. It's going to be a nice way that you can monitor usage, who's worked on which files. All of that will be available in this management console. But specifically, we built it for the settings, but we'll be feeding a lot of other information through for you. So we are currently work in progress on that. So it is coming too. What we are getting ready to finally open up to the world is Draftworx Cloud. So we've been working on the beta, and we've had the beta out for many, many, many months, just testing it, getting feedback. This is basically the cloud port of Draftworx. Okay? And this runs in your web browser. So when we say Draftworx Cloud is true cloud, it's true cloud. You don't need to have a Draftworx desktop license. You don't need to have Draftworx desktop installed. You don't even need to have Windows. Okay. You could connect your Samsung phone to Dex just on a monitor, because drafting a set of financials on your screen is going to be painful on your cell phone screen, and you can actually work off your cell phone doing an audit, okay, with Draftworx Cloud. We do have a separate webinar next week that focuses on all the ins and the outs and the usage and the licensing types. So Draftworx Cloud is a bit different. Currently, desktop is a license fee for unlimited engagements. You could do 10 or 1,000 or 10,000 if you wanted to per user. Cloud is going to be charged per engagement. Okay. So this fits in well pricing wise. If you are, and sorry, I'm very transparent about pricing. I'll tell you which is cheaper. I'll tell you which is more expensive and which option you should go for. I do this more for the passion than the money. Drives a lot of people insane that I work with. But anyway, if you are a small practice, okay, or you're starting out, Draftworx Cloud is going to be great, okay, because you're only going to pay, say we're doing a CC, $100 for a CC, okay, and you'll on-charge that to your client. You don't have to go and get into a year license agreement with us. And a desktop license is what, 5,600 C? What's the ex-VAT price? Can't quite recall. 5,650. Yeah. So if you are a small practice, divide, and you're just doing compilations like CCs and you're not doing methodologies, you're looking at $100 per entity. Okay, So divide 5,600 by 100. If you are doing engagements, then it'll be 5,600 divided by 200. Doing a sole prop, $50. Okay, it's consumption based, and it'll be consumption for each year. You do a client in 2019, $100. You roll forward into 2020, another $100 for the same client. Okay, so this is aimed at, it's kind of aimed at everybody. If you are starting out, it's going to be great. Okay, it's going to keep your costs down. When you have a sizable client base, it will be cheaper for you to go desktop. Okay. Why is that? Well, when this sits on our infrastructure, we have to pay for bandwidth, servers, etc., all the backups. It's insanely expensive, so we have to on charge a portion of that to recover, of course, and storage. If you're on desktop, you're using your own infrastructure. It's none of our costs. You bought a laptop, you have Dropbox. There's your backup sorted. There's your local sorted. You're in a firm, you have a server that's getting backed up. Okay, but cloud does have a few cool features. So cloud is also unlimited users, and with the release, we hope to introduce something called Collab, which will then allow multiple people to work on the same set of financials or the same audit working papers at the same time. Okay, so there's none of the limitations of desktop where only one person can access the financials. And if I'm trying to access the financials Clarissa is on, it stops me and it says Clarissa is on the financials. I have to phone Clarissa if I'm on WebSync or message her, say, please close the financials. I need to get them urgently. That hindrance is removed completely. Okay, so let's say you're doing a IFRS SME, just as an illustrative example, 200 Rand, you could have 4, 5, 10 people from your firm working on those financials. Okay. And it's only one charge. A lot of scope for audits, especially for partners. You want to see what your clerks are working on, what your trainees, what your manager, what everybody's doing through your web browser. And I've actually used this on a tablet. Through your web browser or through your tablet, you can actually check up and you can see what the status is. It's a lovely little thing. Okay. Desktop is compatible with cloud. A little bit later on, we'll be releasing a cloud uploader where you can take all your desktop clients and upload them to cloud. A little later on that, we'll be releasing the downloader, which means if you outgrow cloud or you want to switch for any reasons to desktop or vice versa, you'll be able to bring the clients down. Okay. Now, it's very hard to outgrow cloud because of the additional features. It's just from a cost perspective. There are a lot of nice little included features in cloud. Sync is going to be one of them. I'm going to chat about that in more detail when we get to the cloud webinar, because this allows you to manage all your clients' data sources. And this is what we're integrating into for cloud and eventually desktop as well, where we can import from any of our clients, no matter where their data is sitting, and we can push back journals from Draftworx Cloud, from desktop to their accounting systems. So we have a number of main accounting systems supported out the box, with more coming. Sync allows you to go and basically connect your practice to all your clients, irrespective of what accounting system they're running. So one hub to have all your clients, say you've got 100 on Xero, will be listed. You've got 100 on Sage 1, you've got 200 on Pastel Partner. You will be able to access those clients from one dashboard, drill down into the accounts, past journal entries, customer list, supplier list. The idea is to further integrate Sync. So when you are on the audit and you want to quickly look at the general ledger for motor vehicles, for example, you'll be able to do it in-app in Draftworx. And Sync will provide that detail for you automatically. Okay? Don't have to request your client send you an Excel sheet anymore. You'll have it on demand available within Sync. and even more. Okay, I don't want to give too much away, but because we can connect all your clients together, your clients can connect to themselves. So your debtors and creditors, your customers and your payables, suppliers can all connect, and you can start to share information between. So think about intercompany, debtor and creditor intercompany or loan accounts, and you want to do matching. You'll be able to match and reconcile within minutes instead of days. Okay. You want to automate your invoicing, click of a button, machine learning, all of that. And pretty much everything I've spoken about is free. And that's only about 20% of the feature list I've discussed with what's coming in sync. Okay. So very excited for cloud. Please register for the seminar or the webinar to hear more about cloud, see what we're adding, what we're busy with, and the changes that are going to come. Also just talking about who it's best fit, smaller guys trying to get into the market, medium-sized firms as well who want the technological advancement. And there's a set of IFRS SME in my web browser. This is Chrome. Okay. Magic. But it's also going to be great for corporates. So if we look at full IFRS, okay, a set of full IFRS is pricey. It is at 2,000. But comparing that to our corporate fee, which is 30,000, okay, you can then measure how much. And then other providers' corporate fees, which are around 100 to 120,000 Rand, even if you're doing one set of IFRS financials. We think this is going to be a game changer for your corporate. Your client can create their own profile on cloud and then invite you in as well. We'll later be doing some Section 90 tracking tricks where you can do amendments, and those amendments are pushed to them for them just to agree to, and then those changes will be occurring automatically instead of them manually going, have to do everything. We've had legal opinion on that, and that is fine. So a lot of cool things, client portal, tons of things coming down the line. So much, but we'll discuss more about that at a later stage. Okay. So I hope everyone's excited for some of the new features like the print preview. We've been working very, very hard on it. The electronic review and a ton of other things. So many features. We've got work for years left, just that's on our dev list to come through. But we're excited about cloud, excited about sync, excited about management console, excited about a few other little projects that we're busy in the background, which we'll announce at a later stage. Okay, questions?
Someone would like to please see how to do a hyperlink, and there's a specific question if you can hyperlink the lead sheet. So just maybe also explaining where the lead sheet saves, please. Thanks.
Perfect. So hyperlinks are very easy. You'll see at the top of your menu bar, ribbon bar, there is a hyperlink menu here. You can place a hyperlink to anything under working papers. So these denote working papers, these denote leads with the logo, and you can cross hyperlink. If you're on working papers, on the leads, you can reference, let's go over here, let's find out the comprehensive income. You can reference to a working paper. We've done the work on this account. Now, there is a nicer hyperlink system coming. It was actually done in cloud. So thank you to the cloud dev team. We're stealing a lot of ideas from you for desktop. It's magic. And this screen is just going to make things a lot easier for hyperlinking, especially when you're working with bigger files. I think we have done it in dev already. We just have to incorporate it in, where your hyperlinks are actually listed on the right-hand side So while you're busy working through, especially volumes, instead of going to the ribbon bar each time, you'll be able to filter, and you'll just be able to do a quick click and select to place in your hyperlinks. Okay, so that's something that's cool that's coming out as well to desktop. It's already in cloud, so looking forward.
On cloud, could you please show how to add multiple users?
Yes. Okay, when you logged into cloud, there we go. As soon as you log in, you can click manage users, and you'll be able to add users. So go to the little gear. The little gear manages your practice, all your settings, manages your clients, and manages your users. You can invite whoever you need to invite to, and you can set their role. Okay. So who is a manager? So no logins needed. Your role is defined straight away.
Thanks, Earl. There's another cloud one, and I know we're doing a cloud webinar later, but I'm sure everybody would like to know as well. Would cloud and desktop be interchangeable?
Yes.
So, for example, using cloud 1 year and desktop the other?
Yes, you can. So while we took so long with cloud was ensuring that when you're doing a set of IFRS financials on your desktop, you can upload those same financials to cloud. I don't know of any other company in the world where you can draft a set of IFRS financial statements in your web browser. If anybody does know, please send me details so I can check up on them. But we have a full set of full IFRS financial statements that you can do in your web browser. The genius behind this, I hope to introduce the team, and the team is from around the world that have worked with us on Draftworx cloud to be able to enable such a thing. So hybrid, you'll be able to push up. That will be the first option that gets released for desktop. Work on Draftworx desktop, push the clients up to cloud. If you're working on cloud, you'll be able to pull the clients down to desktop. So it is hybrid. We're not doing like a Pastel and a Sage one, or she's pretty much everybody when they've gone cloud. You now can't interchange the information between the two. I think it's critical. Nobody wants to start from scratch. Okay. Oh, I'm so excited, C. I'm so excited. I love this so much. It increases my productivity. So
a lot of cool things coming.
Yeah. Okay. So let me know what everybody thinks about this in the meantime.